welcome to the 50 Shades Greener podcast, the show where three widely different worlds collide in the most chaotic way possible. Hosted by me, Raquel, the Spanish Eco Queen, adopted by Ireland 20 something years ago, Kiri, or Amsterdam based loony with zero filter, and Nasia, the Dublin based Indian princess bringing spice and sense. We're here to unpack culture, identity, sustainability, and all the madness in between. Three women, three backgrounds, one microphone, and no filters or editing of this podcast by that. So today we're going to talk about the concept of work-life balance. This term became popular because it tries to solve a basic human tension. We need to work for income, identity, and contribution, but we also need rest, relationships, freedom, and joy. So that term work-life balance is society's shorthand for managing those competing needs. And I'd like to start today by saying that at 50 Shades Greener, we offer the option to all team members to work for a 4-day week. And we also offer flexibility in terms of working hours. This has been the case since the very beginning when I first hired our first team member back in 2020. So we do try to practice what we preach. So I'd like to figure out today, what the benefits of doing this. And Nasia, maybe you can help us kick things off.
So, in preparation for this podcast, I was like, I put my research hat back on and I went and did some digging, and I found that University College Dublin in Ireland did this study, and they found out how does the 4-day work week actually look like, right? And the results are kind of what you'd expect, but also better than most managers would probably hope for. They found significant improvements in overall work-life balance, in just life satisfaction, the balance between, your work, your family, your friends. And one interesting insight was that people were sleeping better. And I felt that was the real win, that you're getting your full, comfortable sleep. So imagining employees who aren't exhausted, that for me was the biggest win. And they also found just reduced anxiety levels, less fatigue, which makes sense because, humans don't have to continuously work to feel empowered or feel actualized. They need that time out. People just perform better when they're not running on caffeine, on stress, and just vague resentment. So I thought that was an interesting insight. And like you said, Raquel, that we too at FSG follow this. And I think we all just come back every Monday feeling much more happier. So yeah, I don't know what, Kiri, you think about that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't work on Mondays because I do the 4-day week. So I come in on Tuesdays feeling much happier.
Even better.
But absolutely, right? There's study after study that shows how quality of life is improved in people who work reduced hours. And the point that you mentioned about people getting better sleep, it's really funny because just this morning I was reading a post about how the actual number one thing that has the biggest impact on people's mental health is sleep. Yeah, you would think it's
So
scrolling, drugs, alcohol, all these things. Nope, those all come second after sleep. So improving sleep quality is, it's the best thing you can do for your mental health. So the fact that people are sleeping better with reduced hours, I think is just a great sign overall.
It's so true. I know every time that I have a bad night's sleep, I'm definitely more anxious the next day. Definitely. It definitely plays with your mind, even though you can rationalize it and say, like, you're fine. No, you're not.
Yeah.
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 Not having a panic attack.
Yeah. Exactly. Just trying to get back to bed.
That's it. Go to sleep.
Yeah. And I think, not only do we see all these studies that talk about how, mental well-being is improved, there are people who want to argue about, but productivity this, productivity that, output this. And again, the studies are there and they show that it's well increased. So there was one study that was an international trial over 141 companies. And employees maintained 100% productivity while working 80%, so working 4-day weeks. So there was zero decrease in productivity. And in fact, there was a study by Microsoft Japan that said that they saw a 40% productivity increase after implementing the 4-day week. So it's just I don't understand how this isn't just, you know, people read those studies and every company just unanimously said, yep, agreed, 4-day weeks for everybody. You know,
Yeah.
see, like, why would a CEO not want that for themselves and their employees? Because it makes no difference.
Yeah.
You have
I
happier,
know.
healthier, more productive employees.
Yeah.
I've
I
always
think,
been like that. Why not? Why isn't more
yeah,
people doing this, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't get
I
it.
agree. Yeah. I'm such a huge advocate for it. You know, with friends and family, you know, sometimes I'm talking to my sister and she's talking about, you know, getting a raise or something. And, you know, there's like budget freezes. And I was saying, well, don't ask for a raise, ask for what you're getting paid now, but work 4 days a week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's the best.
Yeah. I think even when we are looking at like hiring patterns, I think studies are very consecutively shown. And in fact, I think this was a McKinsey report which said that 63%, if I'm not mistaken, of the candidates during any hiring process rated a 4-day work week with the same pay as a top benefit when they were choosing a job. So that's not just a perk anymore, then that's a differentiator. So
Yeah.
basically, yeah, if your company is still offering free fruits on Friday, you might be losing talent to someone who's offering Fridays entirely off.
Say that 3 times fast.
Free Fruit Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing, man.
Yeah.
I think that's important that the 4-day work week also works best when it is paired with flexibility as well. So that's
Yeah.
your flexible hours, your hybrid working patterns. That's actual autonomy there. I'm not just
Yeah.
saying that we trust our employees and then expecting them to log in for a scheduled meeting at 8:59 a.m., you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if companies get this right, we just see higher engagement and just better inclusion.
Yeah.
It's fair to say that it's not even only down to companies too. I mean, we even see this with the kind of in the legal way of the working weeks in France. I think they're only allowed to work 34 hours or something, a max.
Yeah.
Whether here in Ireland, I think it's up to 41 hours or something like that. So again, policy has something to do here, but yeah, at a very basic level, like you said, when you see the productivity doesn't fall, that your employees are happier and that you actually can become an employer of choice, why wouldn't you do it? You know, and there is a lot of industries that perhaps can't, you know, it's a bit more difficult. I always think of a hotel, you know, they need to have someone there to serve the breakfast. And the lunch and the dinner, and you know, when you're public facing is a little bit different. You might not be able to offer that flexibility. You need to have more rigid rosters. But for the likes of us, which it's a lot of companies these days are kind of online companies, remote like us.
Yeah.
Why would it matter that you start at 7 a.m. and finish at 3, that you start at 10 and finish at 6? Who cares? It's what I've always said, you know?
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
No, it's true. And I mean, you know, we're sitting here speaking to you, Raquel. You are our boss. And I can say with absolute certainty to your face that I feel an absolute sense of trust and freedom in that.
Yeah.
You know, or even, you know, I have my Mondays off, but if I want to switch that around, if I want to work a couple 5-day weeks and take a long weekend because I'm going to go on holiday for something, we have that flexibility.
Yeah. But it goes both ways, guys, because anytime then that I might say, oh, I really need you to do 5 days in such a week, you've never say no either. So I just think that trust and flexibility goes both ways. And, you know, why wouldn't you again like that? Maybe that should be the title of this podcast. Why wouldn't
not?
You?
Yeah,
It's making any sense.
Just to quickly jump in with another couple studies, just again talking around productivity and things. So there was one study done that basically said, as humans, our absolute cap for like focused work is 5 hours.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Absolute cap. Like people were just not designed to have hard concentration longer than that.
Yeah.
But other studies that looked at workplace productivity and like the hours, you know, because you go in, you have your 8-hour day, whatever. They wanted to know how much of that are people actually being productive and focusing.
Yeah.
Just shy of 3 hours.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And there were some other studies that said even less, like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Yeah. I think even from like the business angle, because we all know business and money and profit is what gets everyone's attention. I think employees with just healthier personal lives will just tend to be more focused and they'll be more loyal and, they'll just be
And they
more
take less
resilient.
sick leave as well. Sick leave
Yeah.
is a big expense
Precisely.
sometimes,
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if people are healthier in general,
Yeah,
they
yeah.
would tend to take as well less sick leave.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
honestly think this is not just a nice to have, much like sustainability,
Yeah.
but it's in fact just
A
smart
smart thing to
management.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Like,
needs, yeah. The workplace needs to evolve with the times,
Yeah.
Mhm.
just to bring back the Industrial Revolution again.
For the massive extinction of 2.4 billion years ago.
A great oxidation event. No, I mean, I'll take any opportunity to shit on the Industrial Revolution. But again, the modern working week was formed during the Industrial Revolution when factories had to run 24/7. Granted, factory workers didn't require a heavy focus load. It wasn't cognitively heavy. Of course, it was a lot more manual labor, but they needed people doing long hours working factory lines. And that's where the modern work week started. I think it was Henry Ford who reduced those hours slightly to the average 8-hour work week that we see now, only because he noticed that reducing the hours from 12 to 8 showed increased productivity.
I think he was
It's
also
crazy.
responsible for the whole idea of the weekend, that you work throughout the 5 days and then, you get your 2 days off.
It's interesting though, like so my mom was a doctor, she's retired, but they used to work either 12-hour shifts or 24-hour shifts. And that's still the case in a lot of hospitals. Why would you do that? Or what would you not think that it's better to have 4 doctors working 6 hours a day each and cover the 24 hours?
Yeah.
I don't know, just distributed differently. I remember her arriving after a 24-hour shift. She wasn't able to stand. How can you give anybody good care on that hour 23?
This is
You
the
know?
thing. It
It's
becomes
crazy.
dangerous. I always like to joke, we like to joke that, what we're doing isn't heart surgery. No one's going to die if, something falls through the cracks. But in the case of a hospital and a hospital worker, that's a very real possibility. And if you fuck something up because you're sleep deprived, you
It's still
cannot
your
be
fault.
to
It's for
blame
life.
for that.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's the system that did you wrong, and that is the cause for a lost life. It absolutely has nothing to do with the competency of the doctor or the nurse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd just like to add here, even how it's important for parents and just caregivers to have that sort of flexibility, because I think we, as caregivers who are bringing up the next generation shouldn't see their parents completely out of their wits and exhausted, coming back home with no capacity to take care of them and engage with them.
That's
Right?
why I ended up like this.
Drowning your sorrows in alcohol.
Margaritas every day.
I didn't want to go there, but
Sorry, Liz, yeah.
but that's the thing, if you're just, I think the main takeaway here is that, it's not just about working less. Nobody's arguing for that. It's just we're arguing for working better and being smarter.
Don't
and
work
just
harder, work smarter.
And having just that enough time in the day to even remember what your hobbies were, what what interests you. Just go do that a little bit throughout the day.
It's funny because even when I found it, when I hired my first team member in 2020, I didn't even know, I hadn't read about it for the week, or I haven't read any of these reports or anything like that.
Then.
But I come from the opposite, right? I spent 20 years in the hospitality industry where you do not get breaks. Sometimes you don't even get days off. I remember when I was young and I started working in hospitality, we had a manager that used to write, roster, AFD. We'll be there wondering, what's AFD? Am I on breakfast? Am I on lunch? All fucking day. It's what he meant.
Oh my God.
Literally, you just arrive at 9 a.m. and you'll be there until they send you home. And sometimes that might be 3 a.m. after finishing serving in the bar. So I came from that world. And don't get me wrong, I loved that world. I thrived in that world. It showed me discipline. It showed me, respect for authority, which I really needed at the time when I was younger. And I really thrived in that environment. But as I got older, I realized that I wanted to do more with my life. And so then when I set up my own company and then it was time to offer employment, I thought, well, you know, you can be A or you could be B. And I thought,
Yeah.
well, let's try B, and I've never looked back really. It's fair to say as well, like, as a business owner, at the beginning, in particular, the first few years, you'll never get that chance to do your
Yeah.
4 week, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't offer it to others. But I still don't work a 4 week. Someday I will. It's in the plans.
Yeah.
But I didn't do any research for this podcast, but I want to give my 2 best tips as a business owner to other business owners that might be listening, of how I look after my work-life balance and my mental health. And the best thing I've ever done is I made myself a commitment that as soon as my husband comes home in the evening around 6:30, I put my phone in airplane mode. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you want. It is not important enough to disturb my evening. Sorry,
Yeah.
girls. Even if it's
You won't catch me anywhere near a work anything.
after 6:00. But honestly, it's even the act of picking
Yeah.
up your phone and switching it to that airplane mode. And I straight away feel like this weight is lifted from my shoulders,
Yeah.
that no matter what,
Yeah.
that evening is mine. Those few hours ahead of me are mine and nobody's going to get on the way. And, some people, my father would be like, what if something happens to me and I need to tell you? I'll be like, you can tell me in the morning. I have it all well calculated as well. If something was to happen back home, my last flight from Dublin, I think, is at 8 p.m., which I wouldn't catch because I live in the west of Ireland. I'm not going to fly till the morning. It happened already. My grandmother passed away, unfortunately. I saw the message at 5:00 in the morning. I drove to Dublin and took the first flight home.
Yeah.
But at least I got my nights of sleep. So that was my first tip. My second tip that I only applied about a year ago is, again, with the phone, put your email notifications on silent. You don't want to get email notifications. Yes, somebody emails you, you don't need to answer them within 3 seconds flat. You can check your emails at whatever time suits you, but just don't let that ping start coming in. Ping, ping, ping all day. It's so good to actually disconnect from those 2 small things, email notifications and shut out the world at 6 p.m. So they are my 2 cents of advice for this podcast.
Love it. I think
Love
it's great advice.
Yeah, I think you and I are very grateful for the B option that you chose how to run the company.
We definitely are.
Yeah.
Whenever I talk about my work-life balance with my friends, everyone's always so jealous.
Yeah.
Like
I
really,
think
they're like, wow, that's so nice. I would love to have that. And I'm just thinking, again, why is this not the norm? It didn't,
Yeah.
I know.
like, we're still a really productive team. We get along, we get along great. We do great things.
Yeah.
And we're
We
chill.
do have to realize, though, that we're quite privileged because apart from that work-life balance, we're working in something that we're all passionate about.
Yeah.
This is true.
And that's not always the case, and I think as well, like that's where, even that work-life balance, what does that really mean? Like work for me is life is work. It's all kind of mixed together. It's my passion, it's what I do. Even when I'm not working, I'm talking about work anyway. So,
Yeah.
it's kind of, it's such a rarity that you get to work in a job that you really, really like. So we are all very privileged in that sense. And some of our listeners might not have that privilege. So if you don't, our advice is try and find your passion. And then you won't feel like work.
Yeah. And in the
Absolutely.
meantime, definitely don't answer messages after your working hours. You don't like your job, you
Notifications
do
off.
what you get paid for.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
Exactly.
Mental notes taken.
God, I better not need you now after 6.
My phone's on silent for all notifications anyway.
Your was off.
Brilliant, ladies. We're going to leave it there with those lovely pieces of advice. Don't ever answer anything after 6:00. Great. And we'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.